My name is Andrew Baxter. For 6.1 case study, week 6, I chose Averill Jr. versus Luttrell. Plaintiff in this case was Lyle Luttrell, a professional baseball player. The defendants were the Nashville Baseball Club and Earl Averill Jr., who was the catcher of the opposing team. Averill Jr. and the Nashville Baseball Club were sued for damages for an assault and battery committed by Averill on the plaintiff during the playing of a scheduled game. Basically, what had happened in this professional baseball game was Lyle Luttrell was batting, Earl Averill was catching, and there was a pitcher on the mound who had appeared to be throwing inside curveballs, in which in the baseball world would be known as dust-off pitches, to back off and intimidate the hitter. He threw 3 curveballs in a row inside, which caused Luttrell to move out of the way, and on the 4th one, he had hit Luttrell. At the time, Luttrell had thrust his bat out at the pitcher. In that case, Averill got up under his own will and from behind struck Luttrell on the side of the head, which had caused him to break his jaw and lose consciousness. At this point, the clubs fled. There was a huge brawl, a free-for-all, if you will. When the police were able to show up, Averill was arrested for assault and battery, as well as ejected from the game. Claims that Averill, without reasonable cause or justification, struck the plaintiff from behind and caused the plaintiff to become unconscious and suffer a fractured jaw, as stated. There was a reevaluation involved. The trial resulted in a jury verdict for the plaintiff against both defendants for $5,000 in motions for a new trial having been made and overruled. The Nashville Baseball Club had appealed that, as they felt it was unfair for them to be prosecuted because Averill, as they claimed, and I will get into this, acted alone, not within the constraints of his employment. The corporation, the Nashville Baseball Club, simply believed there was no evidence that the assault committed was related to his employment by the baseball club. No part of ordinary risks expected to be encountered in sportsmanlike play, the judge said. The Nashville Baseball Club would not be liable under the doctrine of respondent superior. Basically, a master can't predict what his apprentice will do. Okay, they feel that the defendant acted alone in this case, and they should not be held responsible for the independent actions of the catcher. 51 CJS, it is not ordinarily within the scope of a servant's authority to commit an assault on a third person and in the absence of a non-delegible duty. Okay, they couldn't assume that this was going to happen. They thought he was acting alone. The judgment against the Nashville Baseball Club eventually ended up being reversed, and the suit as to this defendants will be dismissed at plaintiff costs. Okay, so the Nashville Baseball Club was taken out of it. They were not held responsible, as they shouldn't have been in the first place. Okay, so this is an example of, it's a real life example because this happens commonly in baseball, where there's a brushback pitch and the catcher defends his pitcher, and sometimes things like this happen. A good example that comes to mind, there was a huge brawl in the Cardinals-Cincinnati Reds game several years ago, in which a pitcher, there was a bench clearing brawl, but it can be dangerous. That's the point a pitcher had started kicking one of the Cardinals players in the face. Okay, he did not. He received a suspension, but he didn't receive any charges such as this. Okay, so what to take away from this is that unsportsmanlike things can have legal consequences outside of any sport. Okay, so that's why I chose case study 6.1, Averill Jr. versus Luttrell.